Hello, Mark here. Trust you're well. Lovely to see you today, and welcome to this episode of Photographer Unscripted, where I candidly talk about something in the news or an opinion I have about photography in the industry, and then I talk about a piece of equipment that I've purchased. All the equipment that you see here, I've bought my hard-earned money. So for this week, what camera should I buy? In 2026, what camera should I buy? Well, I believe photographers are quite tribal. We're quite passionate about our equipment, our gear. And if we are a working photographer, we want the best instrument or tool to fulfill our obligations to our clients. I would like to propose that you consider a question first before you run out and buy any brand, any camera. And that would be first the support network that's around you. Who could you run and ask, how do I do this with this camera? What does this functionality do? And if you're really close and friendly with that person, can you borrow a lens? Can you swap lenses? And that's what's great about camera clubs. You get to know fellow photographers and you can ask for their opinion on this camera, that camera, this lens, this accessory. So that'll be the first question when somebody comes to me and says, Mark, what camera should I buy? Who around you can you turn to for help? Just to get you to think about that. The next question is, what are you going to photograph? Because if you're doing wildlife or you're doing landscape, two different sets of equipment, totally different equipment that you'll be looking at. And that's where your support network will help you. And I include YouTube and online forums in that support network. That's where mentoring comes in. Having a mentor. I thought that was a rubbish idea until I actually went back to university. And in my mid-40s, I went back, started at college to get a qualification in photography. I was skills-based taught, and I worked all my way through to PhD in photography. And having mentors is a great way of communicating what's up here and where your aspirations are. So, who's your support network? Where can you get advice from? What are you going to photograph? Now, when you ask these questions, you'll get conflicting information. And that's normally based on the people you ask, the forums you go to, their experiences. And that's fine. That's absolutely fine. When we get to the question, what camera should I buy? You've identified that you've got Sony users, you've got Nikon users, you've got Canon users. You've identified that you're going to do wildlife photography, so perhaps you'd want a crop sensor. So your reach, you don't have to get so close to your subject. So now you can search the market for an appropriate camera. Look at reviews. Perhaps somebody at the camera club has got one of those cameras that you've looked at that's within your financial budget. Now, please consider supporting your local camera club, in addition to your local shop. Why do I say that? Well, your camera club has got lots of knowledge, but they may have relationships with local providers. Supporting the camera club through an affiliate or something, and supporting local traders. Why do I say that? Local traders, you can walk in, pick up a new or a used camera, hold it in your hand. Is the camera too heavy? Can you reach the buttons? Do you understand the menu system, the ergonomics of the menu? Is it a drill down menu system? Is it a rotating left to right menu system? The functionality of the buttons. And most camera stores, I've never found one that didn't offer this is take an SD card or CF card in and take a few photographs with the demo unit they have on the wall. So identifying what your support network is, which includes that local independent or national retailer, working out what you would like to photograph, comparing the specifications, and then going to support your local store is a great way of choosing the camera that you want to buy in 2026 or lens. So what do I recommend to the people that I mentor? Well, I firstly say, if you're going to buy a new camera, what ecosystem are you in? And the reason why, it's muscle memory and learning. We're learning the new functionality. So let's say you're going from a crop sensor to full frame. You're going from a DSLR to mirrorless. There's all new functionality. And if your muscle memory, your mindset is in a particular ecosystem already, then you don't have to relearn yourself. And even if you're moving from DSLR to mirrorless, you can buy adapters to go on the newer camera body to take your old lenses. So it's not too much of a financial investment. Perhaps you're starting from new. The thing that I would really recommend, buy used. Because if you make the wrong choices, you haven't invested too much financially in the decision that you've made. And I've done that a lot. I've made errors in, oh, that lens is brilliant, it fits everything I want to do, and I get hold of it and I take some images and go, not quite what I thought. If I bought it used, okay, depending on where I bought it from, perhaps the warranty will be different, but a lot of used retailers offer a year or 6 months warranty. A lot of traders will give you a 30-day, no questions asked return policy. So if it isn't what you thought it was going to be, you can return it. So I say to a lot of people, consider used. I also say, you might have a really expensive camera, but we need to practice our craft. How do we read a scene? How do we program that into our cameras? I've missed that photograph. I hear that so much, and we don't practice our skills. I take cameras with me wherever I go. Even if it's just walking down to the shop, I will take, for example, my Fuji Instax, because people will say hello, saw that picture on social media, absolutely loved it, and we'll start talking, and I'll take a little instant photograph with them, and I'll share the print with them. I'm practicing my skills. I'm investing in my photography. So consider, if I may suggest, if you've got an expensive camera, so let's say a Nikon Z7 II or a Z8, consider getting something a little bit lower in the financial commitment, but also in the range, that is similar in functionality. So for example, a Z50, Z52, or if you want full frame, a Z5 or a Z5 II, you can pick up a Z5 for a few £100. All the lenses work, the Z mount lenses or F mount lenses with an adapter, but you could go out and take photographs practicing your skill set. The buttons, as a general statement, are all in the same place. The menus are roughly the same, and you're practicing your craft. So what camera should you buy? The million-dollar question. I can't answer that question for you because I don't know your answers. But something that fits nice in your hand, that you can hold for a considerable amount of time, that's fit for the purpose of your photography, that has a support network around you. And most importantly, that brings enjoyment to your photography. And that's why I have a Fuji Instat and a Polaroid i2, because the expression on people's face when I give them a print is priceless. And when I send in the post to people a print, a signed print, without any commitment, free of charge, the message I get back, or when I see them in the street, the smile. And that's what photography should be about. Whether you're a commercial photographer, whether you're a wildlife photographer, a travel photographer, the emotion of an image, the joy and the happiness that we bring from our skills, the craft and the art of photography, I think is priceless. I hope this has helped you. And really, it doesn't matter, because it's all about the photograph. It's not about, did you take it on a phone? Did you take it on film? Did you take it on a crop sensor? Did you take it full frame, medium format, large format? It's about that photograph that you've printed out and put on the wall and you enjoy. So with that, we're going to look at a piece of kit today. And here is my Nikon ZF. And I've had this for about a year now. And I've talked about this before, but I wanted to come back and give you an update on what I really think of this. Negative. It's heavy. It's all metal. But it's nicely balanced. Especially, I've got here the small rig grip. There's lots of grips out there in the marketplace, whether they're wooden, whether they're plastic, nylon, to hold round. Just gives me that little. So if I walk along and it's down at my knee, because I have long arms, I'm quite tall, 6'4", it's not too much a strain on the wrist. I absolutely love this camera. Why? It's a camera that I use for the enjoyment of photography. I talked about this at the beginning. Photography's fun. And I'm a Nikon photographer. I have other brands, but I'm a Nikon photographer. The reason why is I've been embedded in the system and I don't want to relearn the muscle memory of all the buttons and all the menu system. It's all second nature to me. And what I use this for, what I enjoy with this is I'm going out specifically to take photographs, but no planning, no aspirations. I'm just going with my camera, and I usually have the 40mm f2 lens, or sometimes the 35 1.8, but normally the 40mm f2, which just sits about an inch outside, so it's not shouting out, I'm taking a photograph of you. And what I've also done is I've got some masking gaffer tape, that's a trade name, but some masking tape that I use that's non-permanent. And I've covered up all the white logo, so you don't see, it's just all black. So you don't see that. And I do that with a lot of cameras that I take out, so people don't see, they're drawn to the white because when you look at something, you're drawn to the brightest part of something first. So I absolutely love this, and it's the enjoyment of photography. I love the rotating screen. I much prefer the Z and the 9 screen format, but I love this because I can shoot up and down and so on, etc. Compared to the early Z7s and the 6s and the 5s, but I much prefer this. That's a personal choice. I love the analog tactile, the sounds of the dials, and I can just think photography. Viewfinder, nice and bright, like that. If I wish to change the style of my photography, which is what is great about this, I can go back to what shall I say is a more modern type of photography and use the dials to change my shutter speed and aperture. If something happens in front of me, let's say a newsworthy event, big car crash or whatever, and I need to speed up my workflow rather than using the dials, I can go back to my Z7, my Z8 workflow of changing through the viewfinder rather than looking down and changing the dials. Another great positive for this. Would I buy a ZF2? I doubt it, because the type of photography I do with this, I have to wait to see what they bring out. This is used for my enjoyment, my pastime of taking images. And I think a lot of photographers that I've met do not just go out without any aspirations just to enjoy photography. A lot of photographers, I'm going to this landscape to capture, and I must capture that landscape. Well, the average landscape photographer will go about 12 times to the same place before the conditions are right for their choice of photograph. A lot of photographers go out to capture wildlife or motorsport. You're going for a purpose. Well, very few photographers that I know go out with no purpose at all, and they just let the day unfold. So a little bit of street photography, for example, but no aspirations. I'm not looking for colours. I'm not looking for shadows. I'm not shooting in black and white. I'm just going out and to see where the day unfolds. And that is where this comes in. What I also like, I don't use the word love a lot, but I love about it is the little button at the back that allows me to immediately switch to black and white video or stills color. I love that little, because when we look through the viewfinder or the screen in black and white, we remove the distractions of color. Very important. Photography is light upon a narrative. We're photographing that light. And when you've mastered or understand light upon your subject, your photography goes to a whole new level. And that's meaningful light upon the subject, not what you look at, upon the subject. That's black and white, really emphasizes that. And what I do, I'll give you some tips if I may. I have the little micro card in here as well as the SD card in here. And I shoot RAW in color to the SD card, but the mini micro SD card, I put a picture style on there, normally in black and white that I like. And there is a couple of websites. I'll link them in the description. And it gives you the recipes. You can create your own recipe. You can buy recipes, but you can put Tri-X, T-Max, Fuji, Provia. There is a recipes that you can save to the camera, and it will shoot in that style. Well, I'll actually set this up so the raw image will go to the SD card. The micro SD card I will save it's a JPEG, so it's raw plus JPEG, to the micro SD card. with a picture style on it because it's baked in. So the RAW gives me the flexibility later, but I can plug this in via USB-C to my iPad in a cafe, having a coffee and a toasted sandwich. I can import my images, use my iPad, my pencil with Lightroom. I can do some editing and I can share them there and then. I can reflect on what I've been taking. The fun of photography. That's the important thing. So would I buy a ZF2 if and whenever one comes out? I don't think so, because it's about the photography, not the equipment. And I can't see I don't do things that are fast on this, so the speed of the sensor, if it was a parts full stack sensor, global sensor or whatever, it's not the type of thing I use this for. Yes, I would upgrade my Z9 II because that's the type of to a Z9 II because that's the type of photography that I do with that camera. And same with my Z8. I would upgrade my Z8 to a Z8 II or a Z8 III and so on if we're looking at this 10 years time, because it's the type of photography that I'm taking with that camera. Love it. And if you want to go out and enjoy photography, invest in a camera that's got the analog dials, whether that's Fuji, Canon. I don't think I actually do one at the moment, but they may do by now. And enjoy the experience of the buttons and dials. And if you feel so inclined, in my case, an F3. I have an F3, a Nikon F3, which is the film version of this. And actually, perhaps in the future, I'll do a video comparing my workflow and shooting film against shooting this camera and what I think. I hope you've enjoyed my thoughts today in Photographer Unscripted. Hope to see you next week. Take care, stay safe, and happy photography.